Now, bringing you the very best in New Hampshire-based local music on IPMNation.com and 100.1 The Planet, this is Local Outbreak.
That is The Comet's Tail. The band is Questing Beast. And we have Jane and Shane with us from Questing Beast. By the way, so I love that track, The Comet's Tail. definitely gets the blood pumping. And as I like to say, if that didn't get your blood pumping on a Saturday morning, check your pulse. You might be dead. But good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah. No, it's a fun intro song.
Gets our blood pumping pretty much every time we play.
Yeah. Do you play that to open the show, or?
Yeah, generally speaking.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Now, when we had you on the last time, so how long ago? It becomes a blur to me.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, it wasn't a year ago, right? Or
no, it would have been right before the Halloween show, right? So October-ish.
not that long. Yeah.
Not crazy long ago, but long enough that it feels relatively significant.
Yeah. So what's been going on since the last time we had you on? I know you've got a big show coming up tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
For those listening live, of course, at Terminus Underground.
Yeah, absolutely.
In Nashua. So yeah.
Yeah, so we're getting back into playing out again. Last time we were here, we were talking about how we kind of went into hibernation for the winter.
Mm-hmm.
We totally did that. It was great, and we're out better than ever, ready to start playing more gigs again.
Excellent.
And
So what were you doing during that hibernation period? I mean, did you take a break from the band, or were you writing and recording, or what was going on?
we're doing a lot of writing, and also we're planning for our upcoming first ever tour that launches April 25th. We're basically going on a quick week-long run down to Baltimore and back up.
Oh, congratulations on that. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, very cool.
Very exciting.
It's been great. Our buddy who's playing bass for us now, Dan Salant, he helped us book a lot of these gigs, and he's also stepping into the live role of playing bass for us, which is awesome. And
okay,
because those are some pretty big shoes to fill. You know, the guy that we had record for us, Chase Bryan, is an absolute monster. So for Dan to come in and be able to pick it up has been really great.
Yeah. Is the track that we just heard, which is from, what's the name of the album again? Because you guys have a whole Birth. That's right.
Yes.
That's right. Is that so? That's with the previous bass player, right? Or is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
all the recordings were done with Chase Bryant.
Okay.
Yep.
Chase Bryant. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then he recorded with you, but was not in a position to, like, was he ever officially in the band, or was he just?
This is basically a hired gun.
Gun.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean he lives in L.A. He plays in a band called Warbringer.
I've heard of Warbringer.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, he's a busy guy. He's not just in that. He's playing with a few other bands. I don't know. We follow him on social media. Like, he's on tour with Warbringer right now, I think.
But he's got like 8 other projects out there.
Yeah.
My favorite of which being Father Daddy, which
Father
is like
Daddy.
his blues band.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Very cool. How did you come to work with him? Him being as busy as he is.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
how did that come about?
We were essentially just kind of racking our brains, like trying to find somebody local.
Yeah.
And we got sick of doing it, and we're like, I bet we could find somebody else for money. And I was like, this guy's a perfect example of what I want the bass playing to sound like.
Yeah.
And so I just hit him up on Instagram, and we started talking.
Yeah.
And he had me send him the demos, and he was a fan of the demos, and we were able to work something out. So.
When you first contacted him, was it kind of like, well, I don't know if he's gonna have time or be interested, but I'm gonna give it a shot, and then it works out, or?
Oh yeah, absolutely, total shot in the dark.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't expect anything to come from anything, especially like, just messaging people on Instagram. You know what I mean? It's you just throwing stuff out into the ether and hoping you get something back.
Yep.
And so for it to come back around is nice.
Yeah.
Every once in a while it does. So.
You never know. It's always worth a try, because you never know, and it worked out phenomenally well. So
yeah, bass playing came out awesome. He recorded his parts in like 2 days.
No kidding.
Oh yeah, incredible.
That is so awesome.
Yeah.
See, kids, you never know. You throw it out there, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Absolutely. So what was that, a matter of just kind of sending the tracks back and forth? And
Essentially, yeah. I mean, dude's a pro. So, I mean, he pretty much had everything under his fingers by the time he came out here, which is convenient because we only had 18 hours between when he came out here and played with us for the first time and when he needed to get in the studio. So.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that's fantastic. So the new, what's his name again? The new bass player, or the current bass player?
Dan Salant. He plays in Ice Giant. He plays in Annihilus Mundi. He plays in
Perennial Quest.
Yeah, he plays in other bands too.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of them.
I was gonna say I've heard of Ice Giant.
Yeah.
So he's also a busy guy, but geographically he's available.
Yeah.
And the nice thing is, he seems to be, I don't know if this is just like a point of pride, but he seems to be really enjoying conquering the music and learning the parts. You know what I mean? He's been, like posting himself working through some of it on his Instagram story and stuff like that, and it made me feel pretty awesome.
Yeah,
just because we play the music all the time. For somebody else to try it out and get fulfillment out of trying to learn it made me I was like, yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's tremendous validation, right? I mean,
Yes.
Obviously you get the validation if you play it for other people, if you play it live and people react positively to it, that's fantastic, right? But to also get that validation of somebody wants to learn the songs and really commits to learning them. I mean, that's fantastic. That's great. How long has he been in the band now? Part of the band.
He just played his first gig with us on Saturday, so I think we've done like 3 practices with him or something.
Oh, so he's very new.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a pretty new development as far as our live show goes and everything.
Yeah.
But we were talking to him for a while because of the whole tour situation and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But so it was going to happen eventually. But yeah, I don't know. He's really been doing a great job, I think. So.
Yeah. Excellent. Now, for the tour, is there another band or other bands that you've teamed up with for the tour, or because there's different ways to approach it, right?
Yeah. So our main tour mates are a band called Moon Tomb from Rhode Island.
Moon Tomb?
Yeah,
that's a cool name. I like that.
Yeah, they're cool guys. We picked them because they're such pals that we couldn't have thought of like a better 3 dudes to go out on the road with.
Nice.
And so we hit them up and they were super open to it and everything. And there's, I think, a total of like 20 something different local bands because one of the shows is a festival.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the New York show is it's the Long Island Doom Festival.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
At
cool.
Mr. Beery's, which so that kind of ups those numbers a bunch. But so we're super excited to go out and meet a bunch of these bands. And, and some of these cool shows are going to be in some really cool places too. So it'll be a good time.
How many dates are you playing?
7 dates in 8 days.
Okay. So
we get a nice day off in the middle.
Yeah.
We might go to Hershey Park, hit some roller coasters.
Who knows?
Nice. You should.
Yeah.
Yes, you definitely should.
We've been talking about it.
I'm feeling up to it. I don't know. I haven't been to a theme park in a long time.
Yeah. I haven't either.
When I was a kid, we went to Hershey Park for like the 8th grade DC trip, and the park itself was closed down, but I always wanted to go and hit those roller coasters.
Mm-hmm.
But I did get a 5-pound chocolate bar while I was there.
Yeah. A 5-pound chocolate bar. Ooh, that sounds like a lot of.
It was a lot of work.
It's a lot of chocolate, but the roller coasters. I love roller coasters.
Oh yeah, same. It's my favorite type of ride. You know, like the stuff, those ones that are like just like the big post where you sit on. You know what I mean? And it goes like all the way up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a fan of that type of stuff, but I'll hit any roller coaster.
Oh yeah, me too. When I was a kid, I remember being terrified of going on one that went upside down until I did it, and it happened so quick that you don't even know you're upside down.
For sure.
You know what I mean? But yeah, no, I love roller coasters. So you should definitely do that. And are you playing the same set every night as far as you know, or your time's going to kind of vary where you have to kind of work with it?
Mm-hmm.
Some of the shows are 4-band bills, and some of them are 5-band bills.
Yeah.
So we'll be able to get an extra song or two on the shorter bills.
Yeah.
But I mean, we've only got the one record. We're not unveiling any of the new material until the time is right. So,
okay.
Pretty much will be songs from the first record in various orders.
Okay. Yeah. But you do have new material you're working on?
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
Oh.
Yeah, we took so between when we finished writing the first record and when we finished recording it, which was about, I don't know, maybe 9-month period, we were just working on really hammering those songs down, and so we didn't write anything during that time.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like there was like a big rush of like creativity when we, played the final note in the studio, and we went home and we're like, what do we do now?
Right.
So, we've been working pretty hard, and I'm really excited about the new stuff.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Is it in the same vein? Is it
Yeah, it's definitely similar style for sure. But I think we delved even farther into each kind of individual element that we're bringing to it. So, it's kind of, even more thematic, even more, we spend even more time paying attention to the different, flares and genres and influences, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of variety. There's a lot of variety in the first record. But what we're working on is kind of expanding upon each little bit of that variety, I think. And so each song kind of feels pretty unique, but also there's a pretty substantial common thread between all of it, which is something on the first record too. So it's been pretty cool. We're kind of throwing caution to the wind for a few things, and we're just kind of trying whatever we want to do. There's been some pretty funny ideas that we've just totally ran with. So it's like our sound 2.0.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
cool.
It's basically it's a huge expansion on the first record. I think it's basically everything we did, but we went in every direction a little bit further.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. It's exciting.
Is it thematically similar in terms of lyrics, or
we're not done the lyrics yet? So it's
okay. So the music comes first, right?
Yeah. So I mean, we kind of have like a storyline, and then we build the music off of the storyline.
Okay.
And then the lyrics are kind of like the very final thread.
Okay.
So it's like that's like really the last I's to dot and the T's to cross, or just the lyrics.
Okay. Cool. I obviously we talked about it the last time you were here, but does Birth is there a story to it?
Yeah.
Or a particular theme? Well, I know there's a theme, but I couldn't remember how defined the actual story was, or if it was kind of more just a loose concept.
Very defined.
So it's kind of both, actually, right? So it's very defined to us. Like, we know the storyline as like this very defined thing, but we purposefully at this point like the lyrics are kind of esoteric, right? Because like you can go really far in the direction of like wanting to write a good story, but after a certain point, you're taking away from like the quality of the song, right? Like, we don't need a billion details about like a guy's armor as he's coming up over the crest of the hill.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you just filled up half of your verse describing this. And so like, and what I wanted to do, or what we wanted to do, is kind of have it be a more like personalized thing, right? Where anybody can go in and like read the lyrics and try and derive like what the legitimate story is, but it's more important, I think, from my perspective, for people to be able to derive their own meaning from it. Right. So like I would really like to, at one point or another, figure out how to do a comic book to like tell the legitimate story like straight up. You know what I mean?
That's a great idea.
But I also don't want to like go to people who have maybe derived their own meaning from the songs and be like, you're wrong. This is what it means. You know what I mean? Because it's like, that's kind of a slap in the face. And like, I wouldn't. I feel like whatever your meaning is totally legitimate.
Which is how it's supposed to be, right?
Sure.
With music or with any kind of art, really, it's what you. We might have talked. I've talked about this with a few people on the show. We might have talked about this before, but I know that I've experienced that, where it's kind of like, a song means something to you, and then you read an interview with the person who wrote the lyrics, and they talk about what it means, and you kind of go, oh, that's different than what it meant to me. And then there's that weirdness of, oh, now I kind of feel differently about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think for our music specifically, I think that would be a pretty funny instance, because it's so specific. So, there's so much left to interpretation in the lyrics.
Yeah.
That if and when, inevitably we do have a concrete representation of what the whole story is.
Yeah.
We've said it before. This was part one of a concept of a few albums that we're planning on releasing.
Yeah.
We essentially want to make a trilogy.
Yeah, we want to make
cool.
a trilogy. And so, we're working on installment 2 of that. So it's expanding upon this storytelling universe. You know what I mean? So it would be pretty funny for us to just drop all that information and have people, kind of learn what it is.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to speak a little bit on lyrically. For the first album, there's some very literal world building. So the song we just listened to, there's some very literal, description of what's going on.
Some exposition.
Yeah, exposition, exactly. Yeah. And it's not really up for interpretation when you sit down and read it. You know what I mean? It basically tells you, what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then, all the other things beyond that, when we're singing about emotions and, things happening, it's all pretty up for interpretation. And I think we want to make music that is true to what we're trying to do story-wise, and then also is up for interpretation and receivable to someone who knows nothing about the story as much as possible. And I think we've tried to dive into that even more so.
Okay.
On our current writing, lyrically anyway.
Yeah. No, that's very cool. I look forward to, when eventually, I mean, you probably at this point, do you have any kind of an ETA on when you might start recording the next one? Or
yeah, I don't know, like a year or I don't know, 100 years. Somewhere between those two numbers.
Somewhere between 1 and 100. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I could have that crystal ball, but you never know what's going to happen. I mean, it took forever to get the first one done. I think we've got a more streamlined process at this point, but anything could happen. So. But
you both talked about a trilogy. Does that mean that you've already got the whole story mapped out already, or
like big story points that we want to hit mapped out? But I mean, it's cool to leave like certain things open, right? Because like, for example, on the first record, we had finished the record. I just did air quotes for anybody listening.
Yeah.
And we had like 6 songs, and I was like, nah, it doesn't feel right. And so I was like, we got to write 2 more songs. And we ended up doing Beneath Red Leaves and Titan's Grip, which have ended up being 2 of the most popular Questing Beast songs at this point. And nobody else wanted to write them. But I was like, look, the story, we can add some more details into the story, and these riffs rule.
Yeah.
I don't see why anybody could be opposed to it. Right. And then everybody was mad when we were recording them. And so it came out awesome.
Mostly me. I was mostly angry in doing it. I don't know why. I was just like, all right, well, you want some more guitar?
Right.
Then you're going to get it.
Yeah.
And it came out wicked good.
So you were able to channel that anger. Yeah. That's good. Yeah.
It feels really epic. Titan's Grip is actually our current most streamed song
on
Spotify. We passed like 4,000 streams today, I think, which is cool.
Congratulations. Yeah. That's great. Yeah.
Interesting metric, but.
No, it matters, though. Those metrics do matter. No, that's very cool. Very cool. Do you have anything that you play currently that's not on this first album when you play live, or no?
No, we've talked about doing some covers and stuff, which is now a lot more of a possibility that we've got Dan in the live setup, because we were just playing to like recorded bass tracks before, from the record.
Yeah.
And so opportunities for that are kind of more available now. So, I mean, I'd be down to explore that kind of stuff for sure. But for the most part, we're just playing stuff from the record and trying to promote that. We've got a ton of vinyl that we need to get rid of. So,
what do you mean?
Oh, just like vinyl records.
Yeah.
We're trying to play the songs that are on the record for people.
Oh, okay.
To try and entice them into buying it.
Yeah. I gotcha.
There are many copies that we have. And you could be a proud owner. So we have less of them.
Was that hard playing with bass tracks live? Was that challenging?
I mean, the process of like setting up the Ableton session and everything was, and that's why I had Jane do it. I mean, once it's all been set up, it's not that bad. Our drummer is kind of a machine.
Okay.
And so having him play to a metronome is pretty easy as far as getting everybody else locked in.
It wasn't weird for him? maybe it was, but he adapted.
He adapted pretty well. I don't think
Yeah.
that it was like a huge problem for him. You know, each song has kind of its own count-in and everything. I think that was the only like learning curve.
Oh,
for him,
okay.
really.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
He kind of takes most things in stride, if I'm going to be honest. We threw a lot at him.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, we're like, hey, you got to do this, and this, and
He's got a hard job.
yeah, he's got one of the hardest jobs in the house for sure.
Yeah.
He's back there singing too.
Yeah.
Oh, he is. Okay.
Oh,
He
yeah.
has some backup vocals. Yeah.
Yeah. That always impresses me, drummers who can sing while they play. You know, because drums is the most, you're using all four of your limbs. It's the most physical.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's doing like harmonies, like the chorus harmonies on like
Oh, no
Titan's
kidding.
Grip and
Oh,
stuff.
that's
like,
great.
Oh yeah, dude, he's crazy.
That's great.
Watching him do it too. I mean, there's one part, I think it's in the second chorus of Titan's Grip, where I'm looking at him. When we're in practice, I'll just be looking at him. He's leaned over, to the mic to try to sing, and the arms are going, and he's playing so much complex stuff on the drums, and he's just keeping his head here, and nailing the notes too. And then he just finishes and looks at the rest of us. Like pretty much every time that he knows, we'll look at him and just give him an affirming nod of, yeah, that was on. And he just always goes, some iteration of like, lips out, like, heck yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, he's the man.
Oh, by the way, you're getting some love in the chat room here. Bradley Hurley says, can't say enough great things about this band. I'm a huge fan of this band and Jane.
Oh, shouts out. Bradley, what's up?
Thanks, Bradley.
Nice. Very nice. Thank you for chiming in there, Bradley. Excellent.
Thank you, Bradley.
What a pal.
Yeah. Oh, we had an interesting conversation off air too about lyrics, circling back to lyrics for a moment, because I was commenting how it's nice when I don't mind making radio edits for our guests, but it's nice when I don't have to, and I never have to make any radio edits for Questing Beast, which is nice. And
Yeah, because we don't hit the swearing.
Yeah.
What's interesting about that is I think that's a very like conscious decision on our part, because it's like, I don't know, you can throw a ton of swears into a song if you want to. But, like, I don't know, personally, it's like a very weak creative decision. I mean, there's so many words, that like, I don't know, choosing to swear for like edginess sake is like kind of weak to me. And what's funny is that that idea kind of came from Corey, what's his name? Slipknot.
Corey Taylor.
Yeah, because he made that switch. And when I was like super young and angsty, I remember being like, that's lame, you're not going to swear anymore. And then I got older and I started like kind of like, listening to the Slipknot sort of evolution, like the maturity and like the lyric writing and stuff. And, I mean, you go back and listen to that first record and some of it's like headbanger stuff, but a lot of it, like, I don't know, spit it out. Like, really want to go and listen to that right now? I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
Good song. Great song. But pretty intense.
Yeah. Like, I don't know.
Sometimes what catches me off guard is when it's like, it's one thing if it's metal, certain kinds of metal or hip hop, but like if you hear, just a singer songwriter and they've got like the S word just in there, it's like, because it's like, oh, you're a singer songwriter, but ooh, you're edgy.
Right.
It's like, variety is the spice of life.
And that's not to say that I think as like a blanket rule, like swearing in songs bad or lazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I do think it's a tool that like should be used at certain points.
Yeah.
Like my buddy Joe plays in this band called Dirt Buyer.
Yeah.
And he's got this song called Fentanyl. And there's this really powerful part when he first comes in to this one line. He says, "You keep effing around."
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's super powerful because of what he's talking about. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But like, I don't know, a lot of times I'm like, it doesn't have that same effect.
Right. By the way, Jane, looks like you're getting some familial love in the chat room. Mommy loves you, Jane.
Oh, my goodness.
Shelly, that's your mom. That's very nice. Very nice.
Thank you, Mother.
We love Shelly.
Yeah. Love you too, Mom.
No, that's great. Actually, the subject came up too with our first guest today. Waiting for Z were on, and we were talking about it's nice when you have supportive family members.
Sure.
Also, I missed this comment earlier. Kyle Gatto is in the chat room and says, "Morning, Matt. What's good, brother?" Welcome, Kyle. Yeah, I mean it's. I also think though too, it would be weird because of the style and the genre of the music that you do.
Sure.
It would be strange to
weird
to have an
Right.
F word in there, you know.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's thinking of like, I don't know, mid-century or like medieval times, and like,
Right.
you know, everybody's running around with like swearing
Yeah.
a whole bunch. I don't know. It feels like it should be more like regal and like hoity-toity, and you know,
Yeah.
almost have a bit of a curtsy just embedded in the lyrics. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
right.
I feel like there's like a certain level of like, I don't know, fancifulness that it like needs.
No, I know what you mean. Although if you watch like some of the Monty Python movies that are period pieces, it seems like there was a lot of swearing
Oh, sure.
back then. But
Absolutely.
yeah, no, I know what you mean though. Yeah, I think profanity would be very awkward in your music. It would, you know, it'd almost be like, I don't know. I think that genre it just doesn't fit. But no, so I think it's great that you're so conscientious about the lyrics that you want to use. There's so many words.
Sure.
The English language, we have so many words. So why not be creative?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we spent so much time arguing about like thesaurus related
Really?
opinions.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, when we're writing lyrics. So when we write lyrics, generally it's me, our drummer, and our vocalist all working together. Sometimes Jane is in too. Jane generally helps more with like the melodic elements of like the vocals and like the rhythmic elements of everything. But as far as like the lyrics goes, it's like the three of us generally kind of going back and forth about what the best way to say like what we're trying to convey is.
Yeah.
And so it prevents it from like being kind of like overbearing and like one person's style, and we get this kind of cool average, I think, that works out really well and represents the band as a whole.
Yeah.
Pretty beautifully.
Yeah. No, I think that's really cool. I think we should play another track from the album. And,
Sure.
and you did send me another one that you wanted to highlight.
Sure did. Yeah, I think Beneath Red Leaves, right?
Yes, Beneath Red Leaves. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Nice.
Yeah, we can give that a spin. And then at the end of the show, we'll probably play another one from the album. I have your,
Sure.
I do have the album pulled up, and I
Awesome.
love your music. I think it's really good.
Thanks, man.
Absolutely. So check this out. This is called Beneath Red Leaves, and the band is Questing Beast. That is Beneath Red Leaves. The band is Questing Beast, and that is from their album Birth. That is so good. And they're going to be playing, if you are listening live on Saturday, they're going to be tomorrow night. They're going to be Sunday night at Terminus Underground. What time does that show start?
So doors are at 6 o'clock. I believe we are on at 7. We are opening up that show.
Who else is on the show with you? Do you know offhand?
Dog, 8 Dog, and Sunset Electric.
Yes. Oh, nice. Yeah, we've had both bands on the show.
Oh, cool.
Dog 8 Dog was with us a couple weeks ago, actually. Yeah,
nice.
Really, really
Very cool.
good. Oh yeah, they're amazing. Now, so a song like that, I mean, does that take a while for that to come together? I mean, in terms of just
honestly, that was probably one of the faster ones.
Was it? Yeah.
So that was one of the last 2 that we wrote, right? The ones that we had mentioned before we started playing. And I had that riff, the main riff,
yeah,
for a little bit, and Jane, I think, had that intro kind of written out from something that we had messed around with during practice. And so we essentially just like fused those 2 things together, came up with the solo section, and I had a little alternate version that became the outro.
Okay.
Yeah, we knocked that thing out, I think, in a day.
Yeah. No kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding. Wow.
Solo section chords.
The solo took forever to write.
Yeah, the solo took a super long time. I would say the solo section chords and the fast, like, thrashy part, probably one of my proudest moments also. So having an awesome guitar solo on top of it too, and that was like the cherry on top. That was like the last thing for the song.
Yeah.
That song is super hard to play live.
Yeah, that's probably the hardest one on the record.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah. It's so fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm fascinated by that because I'm a musician. I used to play in some bands, but I never played in anything that did anything that, with time changes and,
demanding.
Fast. Yeah, exactly. So I'm very impressed. Yeah, that's really good. Oh, by the way, in the chat room, so Bradley Hurley said to your mom, you should know your daughter has helped my recovery and life so much for the better.
Oh.
So very nice.
Oh, thank you, Bradley.
You're getting a lot of love in there. That is awesome. And then, so when does the tour start again?
April 25th is the first day of tour, playing Ralph's in Worcester.
Ralph's Rock Diner.
Yeah, and that one is going to be with so Moon Tomb, obviously, Horror, Perennial Quest, and Mercury Burns First.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah. We had Mercury Burns First on a couple months ago, and we've had Horror on too. So yeah, that's really strong. That's great. Now with the tour, will this be your first time traveling out of New England with the band?
Yep.
Or?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, the furthest we've gone up to this point is we played out in Connecticut at some point last year.
Okay.
But yeah, this will be the furthest out we've gone.
Yeah.
In Maryland, I think, in Baltimore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where in Baltimore? What venue do you remember?
Yeah, we're playing the Depot.
Okay.
In Baltimore.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Nice. And then do you have who's is it just the 4 of you now live? Now that you have a live bass player, is it
5 of us?
There's 5 of you.
5.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so we got lead singer, 2 guitars, bass player, drummer.
Okay. And then, so before you would play with bass tracks, did you always have a live drummer?
Yeah.
Yes.
You did always have a live drummer. Okay. All right. That makes sense. So it was just a bass player that you didn't have before.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Officially. Okay. Got it.
And
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to get away with not having a live bassist than a live drummer.
See, I'm a bass player, so that makes me sad. But
I'm so sorry.
But no, I understand though, because bass players are hard to find sometimes.
They really are. And
Yeah.
they're in such high demand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. If I wanted to be a career musician, I definitely would pick up like a hired gun type guy.
Yeah.
Bass or drums is like what you want to do.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. My theory about, because drummers are hard to find too. And in fact, we've seen, Jenny knows this. We've had so many bands on the show where the drummer specifically is in like 10 different projects. And my theory about that is, when you're growing up and you become interested in playing an instrument and you have the conversation with the parents, I want to play drums. they're going to try to talk you out of that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Because nobody wants live drums in their, in their attic or whatever.
No, especially if it's being played by somebody who doesn't know how to do it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. That's the worst. Yeah. Drums or the tuba are probably the two that your parents are going to try to actively talk you out of. Like, well, do you really want to play that?
Are you sure you want the violin?
Right. Oh, violin. Yeah. That one could be a problem too. Yeah. So yeah, drums and drummers and bass players are usually the hardest to find. So
for sure.
You're bringing up some childhood memories of me setting up a secondhand drum set in my parents' basement.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And since my mom is probably still watching, I wonder if she remembers opening the door to the basement and yelling down to me to please stop.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Oh man.
Did you continue to play drums or?
I never really played drum set. So it's funny actually. My trajectory as a musician, I started on piano and then I started playing percussion in like middle school, middle school band and stuff like that. And then I started playing marching percussion in high school. So I played like xylophone and stuff like that, like pit percussion for marching band, and then also during concert season I would play pit percussion. But during marching band season I would play snare drum. I think when I was a senior I was marching snare, but I marched some other things in parades too.
Yeah.
But I picked up guitar in high school at the same time.
Oh, okay.
So, the drumming didn't really come with me in any sense of the word.
Okay.
After I graduated high school.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, your mom says in the chat room that's a lie. She denies yelling at you, I guess, to stop.
All right. Well, maybe, all right. Maybe some selective memory on one or both parties.
Right. Yeah.
I do firmly, and I will have a firm stance on the fact that it was not the preferred situation.
Okay. Understood. Yeah, but that is an unusual trajectory, though. I think you're right in terms of, because I feel like, I forget who we were talking about this with, but I feel like most people who play drums, who play other instruments as well, they usually get to drums at the end. Like they start on guitar or bass or piano or whatever, and then eventually they get to drums. But it sounds like you started on piano, right? But then, but drums was early. Yeah,
drums were early. I think I started on piano when I was like 7.
Yeah.
And I still play piano. I still play piano pretty regularly. But yeah, I think it's interesting. I think I started picking up percussion in 5th grade, maybe. I think I was 11 or 12 when I started picking it up. So, only another 5 years later. And I kind of did things in stages. I left a lot of piano behind as far as my main focus once I kind of got into high school. My mom will also agree with this. I stopped actually really practicing for my lessons. So I would learn stuff that I was playing. I was in the school jazz band and stuff like that. So I would practice that stuff kind of. But I stopped taking formal piano lessons when I was maybe 14.
Oh, okay.
I don't blame her whatsoever. She didn't want to support me doing it if I wasn't actually going to practice any of the material. And I had sense, yeah. I was like, I don't want to learn classical music. Like, I want to play cool stuff.
Right. Yeah.
I want to play guitar now,
Yeah.
Real rebel.
Yeah, real rebel. It really only served to hold me back, really, in the future. I'm fortunate enough that I was able to get back into everything kind of universally. You know what I mean? I ended up playing drums. No, that's not true. I did play drums in a band when I was in college, and we were not good.
Really?
Yeah, a little punk band.
Yeah.
But yeah, it served me well as far as all the other things that I did, musically. But yeah, very interesting. I'm back into piano pretty regularly now. I play guitar every week.
Okay.
But no drumming.
Yeah.
They hate it when I get on the drum set.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad.
Really? But actually starting on piano, though, that's good, because I've heard I've heard so many music teachers and instructors and even Berklee professors say that, ideally, when you're young and you're starting out getting into music, that's the ideal place. keyboard, any kind of keyboard is the ideal place to start in terms of building blocks for learning how to play music. That's like the single best place to start is learning how to play a keyboard.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, because it's just up and down. There's none of this like dumb sideways stuff where like you're repeating the same exact note like on guitar. There's however many different places to play each note that's like in the same exact octave. That it's like, I don't know. It's a lot more open to interpretation than I think that playing like piano or something like that is. And so it's really easy to see the more linear nature of music in that way than trying to like figure out a guitar fretboard and be like,
exactly.
Aeolian, what's that?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I guess there's research that shows that it's the fastest way to train your brain to understand music and understand music theory and everything is just learning on the keyboard, which I didn't do, unfortunately. I wish I had, but
yeah, I mean, it would even give you like a really good rhythmic foundation if you wanted to switch over to like drums or something like that.
Yeah.
A lot of people consider it to be a pretty percussive instrument itself. So.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, that might explain your trajectory there in the beginning with
It definitely does. It's everything. It was an easy, bridge. It's everything. It's melody, harmony, bass line, melody. You know what I mean? I definitely, because of that, I'd say my biggest strength in this band would be composition.
Okay.
It's interesting. My technique and my proficiency on the instrument on guitar has had to develop. I mean, I've become an infinitely better guitar player than I was when we first started writing music in like 2019. 100%.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
My actual playing was just so behind every step of the way when I was learning guitar. But my main skill is being able to take. I call it piano brain. Whenever we're doing anything, I got the visual piano in the sky.
Okay.
And I kind of have to translate from guitar to piano in my mind and then back to guitar. It makes communicating with him not great sometimes. And everybody else too. The stuff going on in my brain is sometimes hard to explain, but given the opportunity to put it down and then explain it in terms of everyone's individual instrument and understanding, I've been told I do a good job, and it's probably my biggest. I would say it's probably my biggest attribute and contribution, other than like the technical side of things.
Okay.
As far as like actual technology. And setting that stuff up. So.
Yeah.
Let me just talk about myself for a bit.
No, that's very interesting, and I think everything you said there really bolsters that idea that learning on the keyboard is the best way to start.
Sure.
Well, what about you? And by the way, if you're just joining us, we're joined by Questing Beast here in studio. We have Jane and Shane here, and so I'm curious about your trajectory now, Shane.
So I had almost none of that. I always wanted to play guitar. When I was 7, I got Appetite for Destruction.
Yeah.
And I would be listening to that and be like, how are they making these sounds happen? It was the first time I remember hearing like stereo guitar parts and noticing that like each guitar was doing totally different things.
Yeah.
And so that sort of, more than like even like, Slash's soloing being, great or whatever, it was the interaction between the guitars, like the riffs and the way that the playing the two different things culminated in this one new thing that's ultimately way better than the individual things on its own always really spoke to me. And so when I inevitably started picking up guitar at like 12 years old, I started going towards rock and roll like immediately.
Yeah.
And Jane and I started writing music together when we were like 15.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was funny because I had a guitar teacher at the time who had kind of like burnt me out on it because it wasn't like, I didn't feel like I was really learning a lot of stuff, and I felt like, very stagnant. So I stopped playing for a while, and then one day I was like trying to figure out something that I was hearing in my head. I was like, oh, I wonder how you play that. And I didn't play it right at all. I played a totally new thing. And I was like, that's not the thing I was looking for, but it's pretty cool on its own. And I ended up talking to Jane at that point and being like, hey, I came up with this thing. Like, do you want to write the rest of it with me? And So
that was really the beginning of
Sure. Yeah.
of all this, right?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Long time ago.
Yeah.
Really.
15 years later,
Yeah.
Wow.
it sounds a lot different than it did when we were hanging out, just playing through a couple tiny little combo amps in his bedroom. You know,
Yeah. I can imagine. Yeah, I can imagine. Well, before we run out of time, so I want to make sure we remind everybody about two things. Of course, you got the big show tomorrow night at Terminus Underground in Nashua, and then and the tour, and also too where people can go online to keep up with everything that you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're on Instagram, you can find us at Questing Beast. There's no punctuation or anything. We really lucked out on that screen name there. We're also on Facebook. Those are like the two primary social places that we're at. We stream our music everywhere. We've got the link tree on the Instagram page and on the Facebook page. So it's very easily accessible. You can find our music anywhere. And
Excellent. Yeah. So it'll be at Terminus tomorrow night, and then the tour starts, what was it, start date? April
25th.
25th.
Yeah. At Ralph's Rock Diner in Worcester.
Yeah, congratulations on that. That's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, we're stoked for that.
That's amazing. Jane and Shane, thank you both so much for joining us.
Thank you.
This has been wonderful. And what should we? I'll let you pick. We'll play one more track from Birth to close out the show. What should we play?
You want to do Corruption?
Corruption.
It's one of the heavier ones. I'm trying to push it out there. It's like the only song that hasn't hit like 1,000 on Spotify yet.
Oh, no kidding.
And also, I want to do a side project where I do death metal vocals. So if you're in a death metal band and you need a vocalist, you call me up.
All right. And let's see if we can push some streams on this track.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sounds great. This is from the album is Birth, and the band is Questing Beast.
Thanks again.